Good evening. This is Robert Sidell. This is the Gateway Show on every Sunday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. on the number one talk station here in Las Vegas, and also simulcasting on Facebook. And by the way, it's also now available on YouTube. Also, I'm going to try to keep improving this every week, as a matter of fact. But you can go to YouTube and just type in Sidell and Gateway, and you will be able to listen to these shows on you'll be able to listen to them at any time or tell your friends about it. And as a matter of fact, I realize people are starting to do that because somebody came into my office last week and got several books because they had heard the show on YouTube. So the bottom line is you can hear it on YouTube, you can hear it on Facebook, you can hear it on the radio. And so it's just a pleasure to be here with you on this adventure called life. Let me put on a little bit of music too here for a second. So I want you to know that tonight's topic is live your life as an adventure. Discover, embrace the adventure of life. Let your song come out of your soul. So if that sounds good to you, I just invite you to stay tuned with me tonight because you've got so much within you awaiting to be released, to be set free. You ever thought about that? You're waiting right now to unleash your own self. And so what is it going to take to make that happen? And that's what this show's about tonight. What can you and I do to make, hey James, how you doing? So what can we do to flip the switch in our own life, to turn on the power of our own soul? I mean, if you think about it, that's the puzzle of being alive on this earth. For those of us that are on that journey, that it even occurs to. I mean, in a way, it occurs to everybody because everybody wants to be more successful and happier. But with the options that people consider for that, sometimes the menu that they're looking at is too small. But what if you discovered that there's a potentiality within you that you could flip a switch and begin to turn on an aliveness and a joy and a power greater than you ever imagined? That's my dream. And that's what I've been working on in my life. And it's a journey. It's an ongoing journey. And it's constant learning and constant growth for me. And I'm trying to share my journey with you as I'm going along in this life. And so it's a great pleasure. Never better. Glad to hear that, James. Never better. And again, I want to just state again, this show is available on podcast format on YouTube. And I've got also I'm going to make sure it's available in multiple different locations. If I'm going to spend the time and if you're going to spend the time with me, then guess what? Hey, Debbie, nice to see you there. Each of you, this is a true miracle of our time. So a number of you I physically haven't seen for quite a while, but I see you every week via Facebook and seeing you responding and sending me nice little messages, things like that. So we are connecting right now, and that's a miracle that we can do that we can sit here and connect and spend some time together. And today is just, today is one of those days for me that I really enjoy. I would call this sort of it's not exactly full summer yet, but it's just kind of a warm, comfortable day. And I just basically stayed home. I'm working on a book on marriage now and was working on that book and doing various different things. And I'm, I already have my book, The Gateway, which I hope again, I may make this offer to you. You can come and get a free copy of it if you come to my office. I was looking if I have a copy right here. I don't get moved from here, but people tell me all the time it changes their life. So you get an opportunity to get a free copy if you'd like. Just come by my office here on 3415 West Charleston Boulevard here in Las Vegas. But I'm also working on a book on marriage and how to make, if you decide to get married or want to be married or want to improve your marriage, that's what this book's all about. And it's about trying to unleash that possibility too. So obviously a topic a lot of people have struggled with in life, and we know that. And so I thought I'm going to give some ideas, the ideas that I have to share, and then hopefully it'll make a difference to some people. That's my dream and my hope. But tonight, I want this simple idea: embrace the adventure of your own life. How does that sound to you? Embrace the adventure of your life. If you thought of your life as an adventure, think how different your life would seem to you. If you thought of your life, if you thought think about this for a moment. This is kind of a stretch, probably isn't what seems real, but I'm going to say it anyway. Suppose you thought of yourself as being on this earth as this excursion trip, that you paid for and saved up as a soul for a long time, and you saved up to come to this earth and have a magical experience. Well, then you would look at your life completely differently, wouldn't you? You'd interpret different things. I remember, and I talk about this in my book, The Gateway. I was working on the roof of a house and replacing some of the, just repairing it basically. And I was sitting up there and I thought, well, if this was my job, I probably might be complaining about it because I was doing it as a form of recreation. Then guess what? Hello, Linda. Good to see you. So if in fact, when you think about this, so if you think of your life as an adventure, if you think of it as a choice, an experience that's been given to you as a gift, you're going to experience life one way. But if you experience life or think of life as a test or a trial, you're going to think of it a completely different way. So from my perspective, my friends, I would encourage you to think of it as this extraordinary adventure, a gift of grace. Because if you do that, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be much, much happier. And you're going to start experiencing it in a whole new way. It's just one of those things, you will. And I'm doing something here. So that's my invitation to each of you tonight. Dare to create a new experience of your life. Like about love. I want you to think about this for a moment. Here you are in this adventure called life, and every one of you has been given a chance to know love. And love can be expressed in so many different ways in different situations. You don't have to be married. You don't have to be in a significant other relationship. You don't have to. But you can experience love wherever you go. Let me give you a little story of an adventure in my life for a moment. We have a case, I can't give the details exactly, but somebody was down here in Las Vegas and they got injured in kind of a fluke accident. So we decided, that person lives up in Washington State. And so my son and I decided to fly up there Thursday. We just got on an airplane and flew up to Seattle. And then we drove down to the southern part of Washington and got to meet our client and his father and other family members. We were able to videotape them, and but here's this adventure. My son and I just climb on an airplane. 4 days ago, we had no idea we'd be doing this trip. Suddenly we're on a trip up to Seattle, and we got a chance to have this adventure of being up in Washington State. And it was fun. It was because it was actually very green and lush up there and very sunny, which is not always that common. So here we were in this beautiful lush green area, and then we got to go meet people and go visit their home and get to meet this group of people that I'm representing. And this turned into an exciting, life-expanding experience. Now, I could call it work, or I could say it's an opportunity. And either way, I'm right. I could complain, I had to go to Washington. Or I could say, hey, I got to go to Washington. And it's fun because my son and I, each night we ate at a different restaurant. We were just there 2 nights, but it was a lot of fun. Just nice little restaurants and just a different world that I normally experience here in Las Vegas. All this because life is an adventure. We said yes to the adventure. And in the commitment of doing our job with excellence, we also created a greater unfoldment of joy in our lives. And my son, he hadn't really been to Washington for a long time. And so, for probably 15 years. And so he'd forgotten how lush and green it can be up there, because it is a rainforest up there. And it's a whole different thing than Las Vegas. So we live in this extraordinary world. And that was, I was driving along on the freeway up there and on these different roads, and I thought, every part of this world's a miracle. Trouble is, we don't see it that way a lot of times. And mind you, I understand that any one of us sometimes can be faced with challenges and frustrations and fears and losses and all that. And that's just like these people there. They had this accident occur, and I was up there helping them out. But the point is that it's how we deal with it that determines whether we're going to be happy or unhappy. It's our state of mind about this experience. If you look at life as a supreme gift, a supreme gift containing every kind of possibility that you could possibly imagine, of adventure, of love, of passion, of, I like having these kind of trips and experiences. I was telling my son, I said, if our minds were expanded enough, you see, normally we sit down and have a meal, we sort of think, oh, it's just another meal. Well, maybe we don't, maybe we're a little bit better than that, but we sort of take it a little bit for granted. But what if you could sit down and say, wow, I'm sitting down having this restaurant. In this particular case, I ate in 2 different restaurants that I may never eat in again, because I may never go to that location again. And so I got to have this experience of people and foods and flavors that I may never ever experience again in my life. And seeing people that I may never actually see again in my life, some of them. And that's a miracle. And if you and I can start to see the miracle of our lives, and not just the repetitiveness of our lives, then you know what? You can start to become an extraordinarily happy person. And that's the whole purpose of this show, my friends. It's to challenge you to strip off the boundaries that have, ensnared you, stopped you from experiencing love in your heart and your mind and your soul because you're afraid maybe what other people might think. And my challenge to you is, dare to let the real true you out. The magic and the wonder of who you are. And then dare to find infinite love in your heart and soul. And share it with everybody you meet. So you're listening to The Gateway Show, my friends. This is on the #1 talk station in Las Vegas. You're also simulcasting on Facebook. It's also on the podcast, Gateway Podcast, for Sidell Gateway. Just type those 2 words on YouTube also. So I'll be back in just a moment. For those of you on the radio, stay tuned. We'll be back. And those of you on Facebook, stay with me. We'll be back in just a moment. So my friends, I'm telling you, there's a power and a gift we've been given in this life. Hey, Ernie. There's a power and a gift we've all been given. But most of us don't use it as much as we could. You are a being capable of generating your own interpretation and response to life. There's a saying which I love, which is your response is your responsibility. So, you're encountering events and circumstances all the time. Some of them you may choose, you may think it's what you want, and some maybe not. But your response to it is your responsibility. Your response is your point of power. If you choose empowered thoughts, you say, wow, this is a supreme gift. Life is happening for me, not to me. Life is happening for me, not to me. You're going to interpret it entirely differently. If you think something's happening to victimize you, then what's going to happen is you're going to feel upset and angry and frustrated and powerless. And that's no good for any of us. I mean, and listen, all of us could feel victimized sometimes. Sometimes the thing I feel victimized are some of my own habits. Usually it's our own habits that victimize us the most. How many of you can understand that idea? It could be any part of your life. But it's our own habits, our own ways of approaching things. We've lived with those ideas and habits and behaviors our whole life, haven't we? And it's those very things that frequently cause us the most struggles and problems. But guess what? If you see everything as a gift, even your own personality, your own self, the body you live in, what a great gift that is. Think about that. What a supreme gift it is to be able to inhabit this extraordinary, beautiful body. Think about that. Incredible. We're going to come back to the radio right now. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday night on the Gateway Show, #1 talk station of Las Vegas. A great, great pleasure to be here with you. I'm sharing a simple idea. Embrace the adventure of your life. You know, my father belonged to a club called the Adventurers Club, and it was a bunch of men that were consider themselves to be adventurers, and they had to do something unusual to be a part of the club. I mean, like I mean, I saw some of these guys maybe sailed across the Atlantic Ocean by themselves, things like that. Discovered and explored remote places of the world. Now, my dad was he was a very adventuresome person, so he sought out down in Central America in the tropical rainforest a ranch and bought a ranch in Costa Rica, and it was the only way you could get to this is by boat. There was no roads there, no electrical power, no nothing, and true tropical rainforest. I mean, when it rains there, it really, really, really rains. I mean, tons of water comes down. You wouldn't even believe what it's like. Huge thunder showers, thunder claps of thunder, and we'd hear the monkeys roaring in the trees, which I know sounds funny, but there are things called howler monkeys, and if you ever heard them in the trees howling, it's quite an amazing experience. It almost sounds like a lion roaring, and all this is because my dad had a hunger for adventure, and he believed that life is supposed to be an adventure. And so he embraced life as this extraordinary adventure. And of course, he passed that on to me and all the kids in my family. And, and each of us are adventurers in different ways. So for me, that adventure has encompassed many things. Not only have I flew all the way to China to visit some of my clients. I took my whole family with me. So I got a chance to go to China about 15 years ago and spent a week or so over there, and then a week in Japan. And what an incredible adventure that was. I said yes to the opportunity, and what an incredible adventure. I got to walk in the Forbidden City. I got to go on the Great Wall of China, and what an adventure. Eating all sorts of wonderful foods. I went to a part of China where my clients lived, and there were no Westerners there at all. I did not see one European descendant person for a number of days, and I was the only one. But it was a lot of fun. I would never trade that experience in my life. Wonderful people in China, and I got an experience of China that was very rare at that time, and it totally expanded and changed my life because I said yes to life. So the topic tonight is how to embrace the adventure of life. Well, one of the very first things you got to do is be committed to saying yes. Say yes to life. Say yes to the possibilities of life. If you don't do that, hold on a second here. If you don't say yes to the opportunities, you're going to miss out on everything. You're going to miss out on everything. Each one of you listening right now, there's people that want to know you that haven't met you yet. There's people that are going to change your life. They're going to walk into your life and change your life in a wonderful way. Become lifetime friends. And you never know when a person like that's going to come along in your life. It's going to change your life. And if you open your heart to the magic and wonder that people offer, then you're going to have a life that's better than you ever dreamed of. But again, are you going to see life as a gift? Are you going to say yes to the gift? Or are you going to resist life? Think about, enough for me, one of the greatest gifts of this entire earth experience is the spiritual journey. That we get to awaken to the possibility of miraculous living. And what does that really mean? To awaken to miraculous living. What does that mean to each one of us? What does it mean to you? Are you living your life as a miraculous experience? Here's Leroy saying he toured Prague several times. Now he's added Czech to 2 other languages. He studies daily. I love Spanish and French. He studies daily too. That's great, Leroy. That's fun. Yeah, I mean, we've been given this world. It's so magical and so wonderful. And so much of the time we just don't see it. And we get too limited. And see, I like to do this show, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why I like it. Each of you are making a gift to me that are listening right now. Whether you see it or understand it or not, you really are. I love this show because it's my weekly reminder to me. How could I live my life more creatively? What exciting adventures are waiting there for me? In fact, just about an hour ago, I said to my wife, I said, you and I have been really good at dreaming up new possibilities of life. I said, we need to keep doing that. We'll be married 37 years as of about a week from now. 37 years. But you know what, my friends? What a great miracle that is. That's a great adventure by itself. an adventure to travel this life with another person. If that's not a gift you've been given, then you just, well, first of all, it's not too late. Guess what? I just talked to a good friend of mine who lives in New York City, and she, I don't know if she's ever been married. She might have been married once before, I don't know, but she hasn't been married for a long time. And guess what? She's getting married in October. And guess what happened? It's just worth thinking about it for a second. It's not all that rare of a story. So she was really good friends with this couple who had a dog, and they always all went together and walked their dogs and had good friends and went to the park together. And then, unfortunately, the wife of the couple got sick with cancer and died. Well, that was a few years back, and she just kept being friends with the husband, the widower, I should say. And all of a sudden, it turned into a romantic relationship. And guess what? She's getting married now. And she said the best is yet to come. And that's going to be in October. So here she is, in her late 60s, getting married. Didn't expect that at all this time in her life. That's what she exactly said to me today. So you might think, well, you're too old for this. Well, I'll tell you something else. My dad was 82 years old, and he was single, and there was a bad earthquake in the 90s, and he had damage to his house over in California. And so he set up an appointment with the FEMA. They sent a representative out to the house to check out his house and get an estimate on it. When the door opened, that's how he described it to me, there was this beautiful blonde woman standing in front of him that seemed to trigger fantasies in his mind, of whatever seeing a pretty woman can do for a man. And anyway, he got inspired, said yes to life, and guess what? Before that she left, he invited her out on a date that night. Well, guess what? That started an extraordinary romance for my dad at age 82. They ended up getting married, traveling all around the world together. And the story goes on, but that's all I'm going to say of it right now. But the point is, he said yes, and suddenly his life became exciting in a way he wouldn't have guessed at age 82. And he suddenly, it kind of gave him a whole new beginning for his life at age 82. In a time when, without realizing it, many people are already closing the chapter of the book of their life. Now, of course, we all have different health conditions and everything else, and luckily my dad was quite healthy. But the point is, where he sees life, the same dad who sees life as an adventure, belongs to the Adventurers Club, and when he got a chance to see this beautiful woman in front of him, he took an adventure and said, go on a date with me, and totally changed his life, and hers too. So what about each of you? What adventures are you waiting for? What could change your life? You're in this world of magic, of wonder, of joy, of love, of peace. You've been given a chance to know love and feel love and deepen your love. And for me, a big part of my adventure has been the spiritual journey. And I wouldn't have necessarily expected that when I was in my teenage years. But turns out in my 20s, I started going through what I call a spiritual awakening, having a lot of wonderful, miraculous things happen in my life. And guess what? Life turned into a more exciting adventure than I could have ever imagined. I mean, really, much better than I could have ever dreamed of. Much, much better. Much more exciting. Much greater adventure than I ever thought of. I realized in that time that this is a divine journey we're on, and we are miracle workers in a miraculous dimension. I discovered that as a living reality. Now, does that mean it's always simple or easy? No, I can't say that to you, but I can say you always have the ability to embrace the reality you're in and trust that God is great enough to bring good out of it. Even the adversities and failures that we encounter. Don't stop, don't sit down, don't give up. It's like Muhammad Ali said. He said that there ain't no shame in being knocked down. The only shame is in staying down. So wherever you're at in your life, you're in your 80s or younger, well, you just heard a story about my dad who went on in his 80s and had one of the biggest adventures of his whole life. and traveled all around the world. Listen to this. Again, I'm just using my dad. I can also tell stories of my mom too, but I'm going to say this. When my dad was 92, he went to Antarctica with my family. He went to Antarctica. So, what adventures are waiting for you in your life? 92 years old, my dad goes to Antarctica. We all are blessed with different health and different stories. I understand that. But I want to encourage each of you listening, this is an adventure you're in. Dare to know it. You deserve the best. Don't leave this world without singing your song. Don't leave this world without reaching for your dreams. And for me, that dream includes the spiritual awakening. And I've been so fortunate. First of all, I have a deep and powerful connection that I invoke and ask for every day, which is with Jesus Christ. I need it, I accept it, I love it, and I love Jesus, and he gives me great value, power, joy, love, and assurance. So, Leroy's saying, I think of each day as a given miracle, thinking always to never, ever give up, and keep telling myself, you got this, Ken, you got this. I like that. That's good. That's wonderful. Well, that's what we got to do. I mean, that's the story of life for each of us. And you never know when something fun's going to come into your life that you weren't expecting. Just joyous, like me going up to Seattle, having a fun time down in southern. I went to a place called Orting, O-R-T-I-N-G, Washington. I never even had heard of it before. And it was, like I said, fun, and met some nice people, and met my clients that were nice, met other people up there on the trip. And just a rich chapter in my life. A rich chapter in my life. Because we said yes to a possibility. And in this particular case, not only is it yes to possibility, it was a yes to me doing a better job. So my work itself became part of my joy. And that's the gift of freedom. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show. I'll be back in just a second. Those of you on Facebook, stay with me. Gateway Show, #1 talk station in Las Vegas. Stay tuned. This is Robert Sidell. So the question, my friends, is how can you and I become more excited about the possibility of our life? I've gotten into the habit now in my life, when I see people, when I'm out walking around, I'll say hi to people. If I see them on a little child, I'll go over and say, hey, what a cute little child. And most people enjoy that. They are happy to have that compliment and that interaction. And it suddenly can open up doorways of friendship. Or you could say, I see somebody dressed nicely. I think they look good. I got on the plane up to Washington, and one of the stewards or flight attendants he was wearing a very kind of dramatic, fun outfit. And I said, wow, you look great. And he said, you could tell he just lit up when I said that. And, if people spend the time to look good, you might as well acknowledge them in that. They obviously were hoping to be acknowledged, or else they wouldn't be doing it. So wherever you are, whoever's out there listening right now, let's let our hearts be open to love right now. Let's take the greatest adventure of all. Let our heart and soul be filled with divine love. Isn't that what Jesus talked about? You can have a love and a joy and a peace that's so great that there's nothing else that compares to it. That's probably what's changed my life more than anything over the last 40 or 50 years, is truly opening my heart to God's love every day of my life. And daring to know that there's something better waiting than I ever could dream of. And that's what I want to say to each one of you. There's something better waiting for you than you have ever dreamed of. Something better right now than you've ever dreamed of. God has a plan for your life better than you could ever imagine. You don't have to carry the burden of your own life. Did you know that? Have you ever thought about that? You don't have to carry your life as a burden. You don't have to carry the world as a burden. When I come back to the break, I want to talk about that a little bit. I want you to think about right now that God's got prepared for you possibilities much better than you ever imagined. Just like my dad prepared when that earthquake occurred, it led to my dad meeting a woman that changed his whole life. He didn't expect that. He didn't know that was going to happen. He couldn't have planned that or predicted it. What about you? What kind of things could happen in your life that are better than you could ever dream of? What magic, what wonder What wonder is waiting for you right now? Think about that. What wonder is waiting for you right now? What miracles are waiting for you right now? What adventure for you by saying yes to life and trusting that life is for you, not against you? Here we're back on the radio now again. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. A great pleasure being with you here on this Sunday evening in June. How many of you know that what is the longest, Leroy saying, or Ken, there's a verse about being in the world but not of this world. Right, that's what we got to be. You want to be in the world, don't let the world change you. You can change the world around you some. But learn to be pure, kind, and loving, and good in your heart and soul. And you will bring goodness and joy and love to everyone around you. And what you reflect out into the world is what you will encounter. Give more love to people, and you're going to have more joy. You know, when my clients come to my office, and this is Robert Sidell speaking, by the way. I'm an attorney here in Las Vegas. You can always find me. I'm a personal injury attorney. And you can find me at lasvegasattorney.com. One word, lasvegasattorney.com. How's that for an easy thing to remember? Or you can call me up at 702-384-3847. That's 384-3847. It's an easy number to remember. 384-3847. But anyway, what can you and I do to open ourselves to adventure? Well, I always like to say, seek God with all of your heart, mind, and soul. Make that your anchor. Make that your compass. And then from that point on, that will be like your water in a desert. How many of you would try to cross the desert without water? Certainly if you were in a covered wagon or something, you wouldn't think of it, would you? Or if you're going out hiking, you'd take water with you, wouldn't you? It'd be foolhardy not to. Well, I'm going to suggest to you that your journey through this world, if you're willing to put God in your heart, and seek God with all your heart, mind, and soul, if you're willing to say yes to life, embrace life as an adventure, and you trust that life's happening for you, not to you, then you know what? You're in the ultimate adventure. You're in a divine adventure. And then if you truly begin to seek God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and let that into your heart and bind in your heart, it literally begins to transform your ability to live on this earth. Suddenly you have the water that you need to travel through the desert. So again, I'll say a simple concept. Living in this life without God, or trying to live in this life without God, is like trying to travel through a desert without water. You may not survive, but if you do survive, it won't be fun. But if you have water, then you can enjoy your experience. If you can open your heart to the infinite love of God, pour it into your soul and mind, and let God transform you. Let God literally transform you. Your consciousness, isn't that what Jesus said in the New Testament? He said, let your mind be renewed by the transforming power of God. What other hope do we really have as human beings? We need to learn to let our hearts and minds and souls be transformed. To be transformed into love, into grace, into joy. Then the big and the small things become magical. Just seeing a small child or a flower. I'm sitting at a restaurant, just a simple restaurant, and I saw the pretty flowers. Somebody went to the trouble of having a living bouquet. In other words, not a fake one, just an actual real plant. And I took a picture of it. I thought, wow, so much beauty that surrounds us. If you start to become filled with God's love, you know what's going to happen, my friends? You're going to find your life is transformed by joy. If you pour God into your heart and soul, your whole body, your health, your mind, your spirit will change. If you embrace life as a gift from God, not as a test, not as a punishment, but as a gift, see how different it's going to be. And if you encounter a reversal along the way, then remember I've talked about this before. That setback, if you hold it from the perspective of God's love, can turn into a setup for a comeback. So remember, your setback can become a setup for a comeback. So if you have an adversity, a reversal, you make a mistake and go down a dead-end road, there's nothing terrible about that. At least you were adventuresome enough to try it. So when you discover it's on a dead end, it's not working for you, you've now encountered a chance to have a setup for a comeback. Your setback, the dead end, will turn into a setup for a comeback. And when you come back, you could come back stronger, better, more alive, more joyous than ever before. So, how can you and I embrace life? We can seek God with all of our heart, mind, and soul. Let God embody you. Let God embrace you. Let God lift you up. The living force of God's love. Let it be a reality, not just a story. Let God's love turn into a living reality for you, not just a story. Let God pour into your mind, body, and spirit. You know, one of the lessons I learned along the way, God can pour ecstasy and joy through you beyond anything you can ever imagine. You can have a joy greater than any drug, to be honest with you, a divine joy. Every drug is simply trying to activate parts of who you are. The receptacles for that joy had to be in you already, or else the drugs wouldn't have worked. Those are called receptors. So, my friends, if you let God come into your heart and soul, then you get to have an infinite love that works for your entire soul, mind, body, and spirit. Try to imagine that. So how do you make this life into a miraculous adventure? How do you embrace it? First of all, you embrace life. You say yes to life. You say yes to opportunity. Say no to the things that are going to take you down dead-end roads. For a lot of people, excess drugs and things like that are only going to take you down a dead end. They'll make you sick and cut your life short. But tonight, wherever you are, every person alive has made mistakes. All people, when they started to learn how to walk, fell thousands of times. You know, as any of you have had children, I mean, they fall right on their face. I mean, that's just part of the story of learning to walk. Luckily, kids aren't like adults. They don't say, oh, that's one too many times for me. I'm going to just stop trying to walk. People need to carry me from now on. They don't do that. They just keep learning, falling until one day suddenly they stumble across a room. How many of you seen that? Hey, Jonelle, nice to see you. Always nice to see you on there. How many of you have had kids and you've seen that? Yeah, and Leroy's saying, yeah, watch out for fentanyl. Yeah, the problem is there are drugs that can cut our life short. That's the problem. And you may not, I didn't used to understand this, but somebody called me up one day and her son had overdosed on a drug. So she asked me to do the memorial service. And I didn't understand until then. I did a little research on it, that the majority of deaths for a lot of these drugs are not a suicide attempt. They're simply an accidental overdose. In her son's case, he was smoking marijuana and oxycodone and drinking all at the same time. That cut his life short. He was only like 19 years old. It's a sad story. So you got to be careful. You're in this treasure called life. Don't waste it. Don't give it up. Don't give up the best. Trust that the very best is there waiting for you. For you, Jonelle. For you, Leroy. Some of the others that are listening right now. All of the rest of you. Dare to think that there's a spiritual awakening waiting for you that's so great that you can't even imagine it. What are you going to be like when the infinite love of your heart is awakened? Who are you going to be when you're permeated with supreme joy? How are you going to live filled with that great joy? What can you do with that joy? What can you do with that love? What can you do about it? How are you going to live with that supreme love? Think about it right now. A love that's greater than anything you could ever know. And then bringing that to your relationships and bringing that to your work. When you find God's love in your heart, as a natural side effect, it's going to tend to make you more successful, more prosperous, more abundant. I'm not saying you're guaranteed to become rich. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have God's love within you, it will make you more attractive. You are, in the purest sense of the word, what attraction means. Attraction means people are attracted to you. Yeah, Leroy's responding again. He says, if anytime you mix barbiturates and assorted drugs, it can take you and you never see it coming. Yeah, just got to be careful. We live in a very real world, my friends. Love is real. Health is real. You know, I live in bodies that are fearfully and wonderfully made. But we got to honor these bodies. We have to honor them as much as we can. We have to honor ourselves as we walk through this gift of life and dare to live as miracle workers in a miraculous kingdom. Would you be willing to do that in your life? Tonight? Are you willing to open yourself to God's infinite love to you right now? Right this second? Infinite love right now? Infinite joy right now? Would you be willing to open yourself to the idea that new possibilities are going to come into your life right now? This very week? This very night? What could God do for you tonight? And what can you do for God? The greatest opportunity you can give God is to operate in and through you. That's your opportunity. To let God operate in and through you, for you. When you know God is with you, your entire life will change. And if you find yourself doubting that or having anxiety or fear or worry, then my friends, it's okay. Forgive yourself, but come back to God, to peace, to joy, to love. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show. I'm going to go to a break. When we come back, I'm going to have Reverend Ernie and Janet with us here tonight. So stay tuned. And for those of you on Facebook, stay with me. So my friends, let's make this love real, all right? Let's send our love to each other. Why not? And if you happen to be listening to this recording later on, divine love is beyond time and space. How's that sound? I invite you to open your heart to love right now. A love that we can share together. Can you imagine, have you ever been in love? Probably most of you have been. Try to open yourself to the idea of falling in love every day. And letting love pour through your heart, mind, and soul. So much love that's greater than you ever dreamed of. Try to think about that. Oh, Liz. Thank you. I'm going to pop on. Let's see if I can get my Zoom people here. Oh, let's see here. I don't see them yet, but they should be here in a minute, I hope. So my friends, let's dare to open our hearts to real love. Let's reach for supreme love, divine grace. Just a second, I'm just checking. We're trying to get Ernie and Janet on here. Just 1 second here. Hey Siri, call Brian. We're going to be back in just a second. I'm just trying to make sure they're on there. Hey Brian. Yeah. I'm not getting anybody on Zoom. I wonder why. Come and take a quick look, okay? What? That's what I'm saying. I don't see it joined. I don't know if I marked anything or not. What do I have to do?
Check participants list to see what to admit them.
Well, show me where that is. Why don't you come here for a minute?
Participants at the bottom middle. Let's see if they need to be admitted.
Return to meeting. Participants. One participant can share at a time. It does not say anything about that.
They just didn't join this week.
Oh, hold on. It says, no, they both are trying to. I know.
All right, so you need to admit them then, just
well,
like I told you.
They're not here. No. Just come on in here for 1 second, okay? Just come back in here, okay? Maybe I did something wrong. Oh, no, there's one of them. Oh, there you are, Jan. I wonder what happened to Ernie.
Yeah, you just forgot to turn off the waiting room.
How do you turn that off? Oh, enable waiting room.
That's it.
Hey, Janet, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. I just don't know where Ernie
Trying to
is.
get my.
He might need to.
Is Ernie on?
Supposed to be.
Maybe it was spinning on him. I couldn't get in.
Hold on. Ooh. Hold on a second here. Just one second. You got it back up there again, Brian? Let's see here. Oh, okay. Just one second. So I can get Ernie. Okay. Hey, hi there, my friends. We're trying to get well, I've got Janet on the line anyway. So I don't know what happened to Ernie. She was on the show.
It might be spinning like it was for me.
My friends on the radio were trying to I got Janet on the line anyway. I just sent a text to him to see what's going on. Well, I'll go on with I'm going to go on with you at the moment, Janet. Oh, here comes Ernie. Oh, there you are, Ernie. All right. Can you hear me, Ernie? Can you hear me, Ernie? Can you hear me? I'm not hearing your voice.
Here.
Okay, you can hear me now. I don't think you can hear me. You can hear me, right, Janet?
Yes, he can. He answered you.
I know, but I don't think something's not wrong. This happened last week too. He couldn't really hear me. Well, anyway, Janet, I'm going to start. Well, let me start. Ernie, if you're there, do you want to share your prayer, Ernie?
Oh, yes. Okay. Let me get it in there. Okay, let's see. Where is my prayer? Here it is. Just a minute. I have some issues with my software.
Do you want me to start with Janet?
I had an issue with my software. So,
Ernie, let me start with Janet. Or do you?
Okay, it was Janet. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, Janet, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Well, it kind of has to do with what you're saying, but in my June calendar, it always says something to do for the month, to start the month.
Uh-huh.
To how do I want to say it? Like just to be what open to for the month. So it's from Louise Hay's calendars, daily calendars. I look for opportunities this month to express myself as who I really am, the beauty and the joy of the universe expressing and receiving. I rejoice in the truth of my being. I am energy, I am spirit, and I am the essence of love. I let my light shine brightly. And then, because you were talking about, well, I just feel like this went with it too. Like,
Okay.
if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't give to others. So, and this is from the Daily Word. I'm just reading part of it. That I may keep my schedule clear and rest as long as I feel I need to. I can wear myself out if I don't take time for self-care. And just as I give and care and help to the people in my life, I do not resist when they offer to care and help for me. My self-care practice to renew and rejuvenate me. I can find my spiritual center and feel my energy being replenished. I am once again able to respond to the needs of others. And from Luke, it says, your eye is the lamp of your body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body is full of light. And so I really, in regards to what you're saying, really, if we don't stay in tune with our life and stay focused on something that brings us joy and love and life into our daily activities, then we just really become stagnant, and we lose who we are and what we're really here for. That's all.
Yeah, that's I would really like to focus on that for 1 second. That's what keeps life exciting. It's when we keep connecting with people, life, with God, seeing it as an adventure. We got to keep fresh. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, adventure. So I'm on a New Jersey adventure. I'm in New Jersey, and I reconnected.
You're in New Jersey right now?
I am.
Oh, that's
In a
interesting.
house that out that window behind me is the lake. It's beautiful. I'm in this little, it's small, it's kind of a small town, but it's mostly woods. And I reconnected with a friend that I haven't seen for 44 years.
Well, you are an adventurer, aren't you?
I really truly am. I haven't seen him, and he's married, but he was so much fun, and I reconnected with one of the people I knew from Virginia. They were in the Navy. They were in the SEAL team. So I know Ernie has to go on, but one I connected with 2 years ago, and now we found this friend, and it's like very exciting that I found these people.
Well, I was sitting there looking at the room thinking it looked different somehow. Now I know why. You're in New Jersey.
That's why.
I was thinking that. Well, I'll probably come back to you for a second. But Ernie, do you have your prayer? Can you give us your prayer?
Yes. Can you hear me, Robert?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Go ahead and share the prayer.
All right. Great. Thank you. The prayer is about the topic is embrace the adventure of life. You deserve the best. Don't die with your song still unsung. Dear Lord, we give gratitude and thanks for this blessed day and for this adventurous life. We pray that we open our hearts to believe in the infinite love and the divine spirit in each one of us. We have complete trust and faith in God to bring peace, joy, prosperity in our lives as we journey in the spiritual adventure in our daily lives. Lord, guide us to be in awareness from within to embrace the adventure of life as we trust the great divine spirit, which in turn inspires our daily life to be a testimony, sharing God's miracles with each other. We pray for each one of us that everyone in this world will experience the adventure of life, deserving the best, creating heaven on earth, and so it is. Amen.
Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful prayer. You know, it's fun. Both of you, it's neat. I'm inspired by Janet tonight, especially because here she is, way back in New Jersey. That you're on the other side of the country. And when did you go back there?
I left Wednesday night at 11:30, and I got here at 7. Well, I landed in Philly. He picked me up in Philly at 7 in the morning on Thursday, June
Wow.
1st. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny because I did it. I was looking at the picture. Like I said, not only did it look different, but I was feeling a different vibe. And I was thinking, and I actually did feel a nice feeling. I thought, oh, this is nice. And so, see, you're already living the story that I'm sharing tonight. Just like I went to Washington. Did you hear me talking about how I went to Washington State?
I did. I've been on the show. I've been listening all night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and you know, between now and next Sunday, we don't know what other exciting adventures are going to happen in our lives, do we? And same with you, Ernie. You know, who knows what adventures are waiting for you?
Yes.
But you know what? The adventure doesn't have to involve travel or something. I want to say one thing, and we're going to be out of time in a second. The adventure can be awakening to the divinity of our own heart. Oops, I'm hearing music in the background. I think they're telling me the time's up. My friends, It's a great pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to be with you here. I'm expecting miracles for each and every one of you, reminding you that God is real, miracles are real, and the best is yet to come. God bless you all till we get together next week. God bless everybody. And see you later.
Have a great week.
Ernie and Janet, God bless you both too, and everybody listening. God bless everybody.
Bye. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.